Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So new estimates are just in for all Social Security beneficiaries, retirees, SSI, as well as SSDI beneficiaries. So we're going to be going over those numbers. And even though beneficiaries are expected to receive right around a $600 increase on average, we're going to be going over why some beneficiaries are actually pretty disappointed with those numbers. Plus, with the November elections coming up in just a few months, we're going to be going over why there might be some red flags or concerns for both former President Donald Trump and the current president in Joe Biden. But before we go ahead and dive into the main content of today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Plus, if you would like to receive up to $200 in free stock or $200 in free cash, in a pinned comment below, I will be leaving a link to Robinhood. All you have to do is once you click on that link is just sign up for a free account and then just simply link your bank account. At that point, Robinhood will be sending you one free stock worth all the way up to $200. And if you'd rather just have the cash, all you have to do is once you receive the free stock is just sell it for what it's worth and then transfer the cash value right back to your bank account. Okay, so diving right into our first story of today's video, and yes, we actually are going to have some debates with Biden and Trump, how they go and how much they just end up kind of, insulting each other rather than going over the main issues that Americans should care about. We'll have to wait and see, but they do currently have two different dates set up. I believe they're going to be in June next month as well as in September. So according to AP News, Biden and Trump trading barbs agreed to two presidential debates in June and September. So President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump on Wednesday agreed to hold two campaign debates. The first on June 27th, hosted by CNN, and the second on September 10th, hosted by ABC, setting the stage for the first presidential face-off to play out in just over a month. The quick agreement on the timetable followed the Democrats' announcement that he would not participate in fall presidential debates sponsored by the nonpartisan commission that has organized them for more than 3 decades. Biden's campaign instead proposed that media outlets directly organize the debates between the presumptive Democratic and Republican nominees. The debate is so unusually early on the political calendar that neither Biden nor Trump will have formally accepted his party's nomination. And, there were some different terms set up by Biden and Biden's team. The first term, obviously, is who would host them. We're looking there. It's going to be by CNN and ABC. And if you watch either network, you know that they lean a little bit to the left. So obviously, the questions are probably going to be favored a little bit more for Biden and against Trump. So obviously it's going to help Biden out in that case. They also made sure that there would not be an audience. There's not going to be a live audience. So whenever Trump and Biden trade barbs, they're not going to have people, I guess, in the audience cheering on or booing certain candidates. And then the final one was that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. also could not be at the debates. I guess Biden does not want to have another person there that he has to debate against. So those are some of the requirements. There are also some other requirements as well, but we're not going to be going over all of those. Now, of course, there are certain red flags or potential red flags for Trump right now early on. There are also some major red flags for Biden as well. So according to The Hill, Haley protest votes raise red flags for Trump. So the tens of thousands of primary votes cast in favor of Nikki Haley over the last several months are underscoring the apparent discontent many Republicans feel with former President Trump as their presumptive nominee, raising alarm for his campaign and fueling questions over whether he needs to do more to unify the party's different factions. Haley's most recently racked up significant vote shares in the Maryland, Nebraska, and West Virginia GOP primaries, which were closed off to Republican voters, meaning, unlike in some past primaries, Democrats and independent voters could not participate. Now, Trump and his allies argue that Haley is getting relatively big shares of the vote in open primaries where Democrats and independents can vote in the GOP primary, but other Republicans argue the votes for her are still a red flag. And in the case of Tuesday's results, Haley's votes in the 3 states came entirely from registered Republicans. So obviously we have a faction of the Republican Party, Republican voters, that are so against Trump that they're going out and they're voting for other people, whether it be Nikki Haley, whether it be Ron DeSantis or someone else. They do not want Trump, and even though they may know that Trump is for sure going to win, they're going out and sort of protesting their vote and voting for someone like Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis instead of Donald Trump. Now, of course, it's pretty much happening the same to Biden as well. If we look at some pollings, for example, in the Nebraska Democratic primary, we can look at Joe Biden won 90% of the vote, which is a good amount. But for being, the current president of the United States, Dean Phillips picked up almost 10% of the vote in the state of Nebraska. And then also, if we look at the state of Nebraska for the Republican primary, Donald Trump won 80% of the vote, with Nikki Haley picking up 18.2% and Perry Johnson getting the almost other 2%. Then if we look at the state of Michigan, Joe Biden in Michigan, sort of like Trump in Nebraska. Biden won at just 81.1% of the vote, with 13% of Michigan voters uncommitted. That's very strong numbers for someone who is the current president of the United States, only to pick up 81% of the vote in the state of Michigan in the Democratic primary. That is very, very concerning for Joe Biden. Now, moving into our main story of today's video, and that has to do with Social Security and the next increase. We just had some estimates roll in. We went over the video yesterday of how much that's possibly going to be. According to the Senior Citizens League, they are predicting around a 2.66% increase for 2025. We're going to be going over some numbers and what that should look like. And once again, on average, for most retirees, that increase for 2025 is going to be right around $600. We're going to be going over the numbers for everyone, though, including SSI and disability as well. So according to Newsweek, Social Security COLA increase slammed as new estimate released. So obviously with these new estimates coming in, a lot of people are concerned, like, is this going to be enough to get by with all the rising costs across the board? So once again, according to Newsweek, a new cost of living adjustment prediction for Social Security has many seniors scratching their heads at how they'll stretch their benefits amid inflation. The Senior Citizens League just predicted the COLA for 2025, saying beneficiaries can expect a 2.66% bump in benefits. Earlier in the year, the estimate was set at 2.6 and 2.4%. So if we look at those numbers, once again, at if we end up having a 2.66% bump in benefits for the year of 2025, we can look at what that might result in for all beneficiaries across the board. Once again, SSI, disability, and retired workers. So right now in 2024, those on SSI who are individuals, the max benefit is $943. Keep in mind, most people are receiving less or much less than an amount, but that the maximum amount is going to bump up from $943 up to $968 per month. That would be a $25 per month increase, or over the course of a year, a $300 per year increase. Then as far as couples go, in 2024, the maximum amount for couples to receive who receive SSI are receiving $1,415. Now, if the 2.66% increase ends up being exactly that amount for 2025, it's going to result in a boost up to $1,453 per month, which is going to be a $38 monthly increase, which would result in a $456 per year increase for couples on SSI. Now, as far as disabled workers, this year in 2024, on average, disabled workers are receiving $1,537. If once again we had that increase of 2.66% for 2025 for the cost of living adjustment, that's going to increase their benefits all the way up to $1,578 per month, which would be an increase of $41 per month on a monthly basis, or $492 per year. And then finally, as far as retired workers, on average this year, retired workers are receiving $1,907 every single month. If we end up having a 2.66% cost of living adjustment, next year that's going to result in a $51 per month increase, or over the course of a year, right around $600. So obviously, it's decent, not as much as we've seen over the past, couple of years where we've had these massive increases, with one of the increases as high as 8.7%. That was one of the highest in 40 years. But a lot of people are concerned, like, is this going to be enough money? So the article from Newsweek goes on to say that the Social Security Administration adjusts Social Security payment amounts every year based on the Consumer Price Index, but not everyone feels the change would be enough to get by. So, quote, while COLA payments will increase to offset the effects of inflation, the problem many have with the potential percentage jump is it won't get far enough to meet most of the financial needs of seniors. Alex Bean, a financial literacy instructor at the University of Tennessee at Merton, told Newsweek. Obviously, daily expenses for this age group continue to rise, but the uptick in healthcare costs are putting an additional strain on them, and COLA payments may not be enough to match that uptick. So, for example, in the Medicare Trustees report from this month, Part B premiums were predicted to grow by $10.30 a month to a total of $185. That increase is on top of a nationwide inflation on groceries, housing, and transportation. So obviously, even though we are going to have an increase for the cost of living adjustment, we're also going to have an increase in the Medicare Part B premiums, which is going to offset a good portion of whatever the cost of living adjustment ends up being. But leave your thoughts and comments below. Would a 2.6 or a 2.66% amount for your COLA in 2025 be enough for you? Would you be happy with that number, or would you like to see it be a little bit higher to keep up with the amount of inflation that we've seen over the past year? But that's all we have for today's video. I certainly hope that you enjoyed and found value out of it. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.